Okay, history of design. Welcome to Module 5, guys. How you doing? Let's talk a little bit about Module 4. Okay, so I want to jump back to, let's do that. Let's jump back to Module 4 here. And I just want to jump in here and go over a couple of things. We talked about day still, Russian constructivism and the Bauhaus movement. And I think one of the most important things to carry forward through these discussions is how society affected the design movement and how the two kind of took a political stance and kind of created this new visual future, as it were. And all three of these did um, in different ways. So I think another interesting thing to note is that, as the world is reacting to a lot of the atrocities that have been happening globally during this period, as the world is reacting visually, the reactions are somewhat similar in a lot of different countries. And this is fascinating because it's happening concurrently. So this reductive abstraction is really a key, a critical factor in the development of this visual language that is pointing toward modernism. So I think that's really important. Now, this announcement here, where did we go? So I just want to talk a little bit about. Okay, so we talked about distill, constructive, and Bauhaus. And one thing I want to just take away, the takeaways, reductive geometric abstraction used in distill. And this is primarily to achieve universal harmony in the wake of the devastating effects of World War I. Now, constructivism did the same thing, but they used the constructivists reduced their work to abstract reduction geometric representation as an antithesis of the imperial decorative style that represented Russia before the revolution. So again, that was a reactionary. Then the Bauhaus is really important because the visual and the conceptual principles here tie into really utilitarian design, as it were. So we're really see this this stringent attempt to try to marry the fine and applied arts, or as many of you have stated in your writing, marry design and manufacturing. And that's a good point. Great way of looking at things. So in week 5, we jump a little bit ahead and we say, okay, what's going on in America now? We've been in Europe the whole time. Well, most of the time we've been in the class, we've been in Europe. So we're gonna pack it up and we're gonna move to America. We're gonna talk about American modernism between World War I and World War II, specifically how advertising grew during this period and how the graphic design profession and how American magazines played a role in both. And then we want to look at how American designers borrowed from European modernists to develop their own kind of visual language. And then just to take this a step further, next week we get into post-World War II and the happenings during World War II, which really created this situation where a lot of these prominent European designers and movement heads of movement and really active artists and design pioneers moved to America to escape the war or its atrocities. So that's a really critical period in time where a lot of iconic European designers moved to America to get away from World War I, whether they immigrated or whether for other reasons. So that's really important. That's a super important step in the evolution of the history of American design. Okay, week module 5, Plan at a Glance. Read textbook. Read your textbook. I read it. I've read this book now, I think, a couple times. And this is a new book to me, too. So I'm strictly a Megs Eskelsen guy. So I think this Raisman book is very, very good. I've read it twice now since, well, read through it. I shouldn't say I've read it twice. But since the class started, I've really been concentrating on reading through this book. And it's a very, very good book. I'm so glad that it was chosen for this class. Review Commercial American Design Style. This is a lengthy article, but it's really good, and it's take 2 or 3 takes to read it because it's kind of lengthy, a little bit dry, but very fascinating. Then we have Art Deco in America and Deco Details of New York. Now, what I want you to do is just take Deco a little bit different from what we looked at it before, and look at Art Deco, the merits of Art Deco as it applies to advertising, specifically American advertising between the wars. Okay, then we have the your journal, complete your journal. That's a pass fail, but you have this commercial modern design journal due this week. Okay, what else due during this week? Milestone. We got a milestone. 5.2 milestone 2 outline. Let's take a look at it. I don't want to look at that. I wanted to look at the milestone 2 guidelines and rubrics. So let's bring that up. And let's see what we have here. Okay. You select, okay, so prompt module 5. That's, hang on one second. Sorry about that. This milestone is basically a continuation of the first of your milestone 1, which was basically an introduction. So what are you going to do here? You're going to submit your outline that includes your topic, a thesis statement from final project 1. Remember, guys, it's got to be complete, all right? You've got to have shown that you're working on this. So according to instructor feedback, which everyone got ample instructor feedback. Many have already reposted. Thank you so much for that. For those of you who haven't, please consider doing so very soon if that was a request. This submission, you're gonna include 5 images. Remember, 1 visual example from at least 4 different historical movements, plus 1 contemporary visual sample. So you have to show the movements we've talked about, guys. All right, so don't just pick random pieces that can't fit into a movement. Okay, again, I want to repeat that. Your choices have got to fit in the movements we're studying. You can't just pick pieces, random pieces from different historic periods and try to fit them in. So they've all got to fit in within the scope of the class, so to speak. So, okay, again, so that's 5 images due this week. I will expect that your images are all identified in full, including the title, the description of the object, the artist, the designer, the date of the creation, the medium, the design style, and then also you're going to take those images, those 5 images, and you need to provide a brief summary of 1 or 2 paragraphs per image of the required accompanying text for each image. Okay, that's in the final project. So take a look at the final for that. So in other words, you're going to include 5 images. You're going to include a 1 to 2 paragraph written synopsis of the required accompanying text for each image. You can find the required accompanying text for each image in the final project guidelines. Okay, so again, so let's, you know what, let's do that right now in the final project milestone, final project guidelines and rubrics right now. And we are looking at the written components for the images. Okay, so under each image, you will provide a brief summary of 1 to 2 paragraphs of the required accompanying text for each image. And then we go over here and we can see that each 200 to 250 words for the introduction and 200 words per work of art. Okay, so you've got 600 works. If you got 6 works at 200 works, that's 1,200 words describing the work and how it pertains to the final project. Okay, so that's what I got this week, guys. If you have any questions, back to the announcements, that's what I have this week. So yes, you got your milestone 1 outline and you have your products, your guidelines and rubric. Okay, so everything's right here. We tie week 4 into week 5, and then we kind of tie week 5 looking forward into week 6. So here is all your required material for the week. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. I do want to say one thing, guys, discussion board. We don't have one this week, but I'd like to see you guys were a little bit more active in discussion board in your initial posts. Few students are just giving observations, okay? Don't forget your posts have to show research and proof of that research. So citations and image credits, okay? So don't just post something, give your kind of visual observations and call it a day. All right, really try to add something pertinent to the discussion boards. And I think that's fair to the students who are really, there's some students, and you guys know who you are, who are just doing amazing things in discussion board, really showing that you're learning this material. I love it. All right, guys, thanks very much. I'll see you in discussion board. I'm right here. Any questions, comments, or other, let me know. Thank you very much.